everyone, welcome to the final of Grand Prix Atlanta 2012. Legacy is the format, Atlanta is the venue, Sheldon Menery is the next voice you will hear.
Michael Majors playing Esper Stoneblade, Godinez Vidigoras playing Rug Delver. I think a lot of this match is going to come down to whether or not Majors can resolve Stoneforge Mystic or Geist of St. Traft.
Okay.
I think these are the two linchpin cards in his deck, where the Rug Delver's is a little more synergistic. Obviously, he's got to get in there with the Nimble Mongoose and with the Phyrexian Delver / Insect Aberration. But the real heart and soul of this Esper Stoneblade deck is getting that Batterskull, which you said last round, doing a lot of heavy lifting this weekend.
Yeah, and what's interesting there is that that's a pretty narrow threat suite in the sense of it's about Stoneforge Mystic and maybe Geist of St. Traft, whereas you go Galdanis and you think, well, a Nimble Mongoose at 3 a turn with Threshold is a big deal. Delver of Secrets, a 3/2 flyer, is a big deal. Tarmogoyf, it's a big deal. There's a little more genuine threat coming out of the Rug Delver deck.
Correct.
But, of course, if there are less threats, there are more answers available to Majors. So, four swords to plowshares, of course.
Cracks his Scalding Tarn and gets Tropical Island. Turn 1, Nimble Mongoose.
Threshold count begin for the first game of the final.
No early action for Michael Majors, so it feels like Vidigoras is going to determine the pace of play here. See 2 Brainstorms in his hand.
One at either end, yep.
He will probably cast it.
That was a swing. That was an extravagant little attack.
Oh, he's going to go in for the Tarmogoyf.
And that was about the quickest counterspell I've seen all day. Tarmogoyf, no. Okay. Graveyard count at 2. Again.
And there we see Sword of Feast of Famine, which is one of 2 equipment in the Stoneblade deck.
It's a sword.
Of course, Daze is a real possibility for the Delver deck. Now there's Brainstorm, Fire Ice.
Another Tarmogoyf.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see a Brainstorm here.
Michael says sure.
Into another Brainstorm, a Lightning Bolt, and Fetch Land. And again, you see Godinez doing hand gestures. He's counting this, counting that, making no secret that he's actually doing some math. So Lightning Bolt going to the top, it looks like. And Spell Pierce. Final decision. Then Scalding Tarn, he's going to shuffle away what he put on the top. He doesn't think the Lightning Bolt is worth all that much right now. Another Tropical Island. And we are probably going to see that second Tarmogoyf.
We're going to see it hovering above the battlefield. Are we going to see it on the battlefield? Major's tapped out, so we're into Force of Will territory.
Which he is playing.
So there is Tarmogoyf.
No Force of Will. No Mongoose comes in for 1. 4 cards in goes graveyard, so right on the verge of getting that threshold turned on, and you say, well, 4 is quite a ways from 7,
but no.
but it's not.
Fort Scour alone
Right.
pretty much gets you there.
And it doesn't look like too terribly much action in Major's hand. There is a Snapcaster Mage.
He's going to do that.
He's going to crack Fetchland, and he's going to, which means he's going to have Snapcaster into the counterspell up when it comes back to Go's turn. So he's going to probably play it cool here.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully wait for Go to try to do something, get the Snapcaster, and then equip the sword on the crackback.
Sure. And Go doesn't have to do a lot right now. Getting to Threshold would be pretty significantly good value. Snapcaster. Equip. Go. Just an actual, I want my guy to be big and
to be better than your 2 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, since the Sword of Feast of Fabulous gives pro green.
Yep. It's an issue.
I guess maybe I overthought that situation a little bit. Majors goes right down Occam's razor.
Brainstorm. You go right ahead, says Michael Majors. See a force of will, a daze, and a land. To go with 4 more cards. Already in hand.
See Kachada Gogenis Vidigoris looking through what he's going to ship back to the top, and certainly if he's going to keep and crack that fetch land, those 2 cards are going to go away.
You have to have real patience to play against people who play at this pace. Genuinely. I mean, and I'm not talking about slow play, I'm just talking about
Deliberate.
It is comfortably slower than many people play.
Right.
And the game has a very different dynamic when you are iced for periods of time.
Yes. Well, your attention starts to drift because you want to put yourself in the brain of the other guy, but it's way easier to be thinking than thinking about what the other guy's thinking.
Wasteland reaches out. It's a big old team. Look out, Ennis. As we see Ponder from Mike Major. Z. And we're see a Jace the Mind Sculptor, who has not been a major player in the games we've seen on camera. Most often, Jace has been turned out to be blue.
Right.
As the, what does Jace the Mind Sculptor do? It's an alternate casting cost for a Force of Will. Not really been in the limelight in the games that happen to have been on air, but of course a very small sample size.
Sure.
No need to trade away your Jace the Mind Sculptors
Right.
just yet. Everyone kept throwing them away. I could have used a Coral Merfolk.
All right, there's the reveal. We know that it's Thoughtscour, which is going to 1, 2.
He's already there.
Well, he's already there. He's got 7.
It's interesting, that Fire Ice, you see, here we go.
He's going to use it.
There's going to be a lot of damage coming in. A lot. There it is, it's tapped.
Draw a
Draw a
card.
card. It's a land. Brainstorm, land, +1. And oh, I thought there was a dynamic in. First lay the land and then pile in.
6, 7, 8, 9. I think that Tarmogoyf is 3. There are no creatures in the graveyard, are there?
Any moment now, you're going to see Michael Major's life total plummet from 17.
There we go.
To 4. So Tarmogoyf was a 4/5, I believe. 3, 6. Yeah. 3, 6, 9, 13. 13 is the gap. Now Major's utterly under the gun.
It's a reasonably good peel. Or at least the card itself is reasonably good. I'm not sure it's situationally what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, he's in. Play the land, get to 5. Make the Batterskull, attack, untap all lands.
Go
make
discard.
a Jace. He can make Jace once he untaps his land. So he gets to make both Batterskull and Jace. That's only if he attacks. If he doesn't attack, he can just make the Batterskull. 2 things will get in. It's looking very awkward. Here in the heart of Game 1. The latest Grand Prix final, the World Circuit of Magic the Gathering. A triple header coming in July. Ghent, Columbus, Sao Paulo. Wow.
And which of those will you be at?
I am popping down the road
To
to
Ghent?
to Belgium, where I imagine there will be many excited Belgians at the state of their World Magic Cup team.
Yes. I will be in Columbus with Rashad Miller and gang.
Excellent.
I think with Brian David Marshall, if I remember him telling me about his summer travel plans, as it were.
We have the Batterskull, and we have the Snapcaster Mage equipped with the sword of Feast and Famine. Mages is at 2. Go picks up his 2 cards. Says, I'd like to brainstorm. Sure, says Mages. There's a lightning bolt there. That's going to make things pretty clear cut.
Awkward.
Awkward, good, yes.
world-class players are careful and deliberate. He's going to make sure he doesn't miss anything.
I think Paulo Vitor Damarosa has a slightly different definition of careful and deliberate. And Shouty Yasuoka, his version of careful and deliberate, I've barely sat down and unpacked my bag.
Yeah.
The game's over.
I have both of these, so like I'm trying to figure out.
And there's a kind of slow motion scooping up of the permanents there. But at whatever speed the permanents get swept up, it is 1-0. So yeah, Denis Vidigeris here.
That's why I was going over it.
RGB Atlanta. Go. Yeah, really, you're dead. Let's get to game 2. So he leads 1 game away from a 3rd Grand Prix title.
Well, I mean, he has a flight to catch. He needs to.
Yeah, this is him hurrying.
Right.
But the main problem is I just couldn't figure out what you're actually.
Yeah, I guess he was just going over the possibilities of what Majors might have in his hand, but he was tapped out with only 1 card. I mean, it's not like he had force of will. So going to the sideboards, 4 Denis Vidigeris, 4 Submerge, 1 Red Elemental Blast, 1 Pyroblast, 2 Ancient Grudge, a Gilded Drake, a Scavenging Ooze, 2 Curse Totem, 3 Surgical Extraction. Probably going to see both the Red Blast and the Pyroblast. The 1 or more Submerge. No, probably not the Submerge, since Majors doesn't have any forests. Probably an Ancient Grudge to take care of the equipment that are again linchpins of the Esper Stoneblade deck. On the other side, Majors has Wrath of God, Disenchant, 2 Lingering Souls, Umezawa's Jitte, Humility, 2 Perish, 3 Surgical Extraction, 2 Aethersworn Canonist, and 2 Path to Exile. Humility is certainly a card he brought in against a similar deck in the top 8.
So just before the final, Scott Marshall, the head judge, was sitting doing his thing, and 2 gentlemen came up, guy in his 50s and some young 20-something, looking suspiciously like the family of Michael Majors.
I see.
And when you're starting these events, maybe the family don't know too much about what your weekend involves. You just know that you're gonna have some fun and do some stuff, and and you obviously explain to them that, well, the thing is, most likely I'm going to be out on Saturday at 5 and 3 drop. So I'll be done, but then on Sunday I might play in some little side events and so on. And they come back in at 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock on a Sunday night to find that 902 players aren't playing anymore, but their boy is. And there you see him. It's like, well, yeah, I did tell you there was a theoretical chance that I could be winning the thing. Yeah, I have a feeling that's what happened, because they were asking, it's like, so how long do these matches take? And is this really the final? And I haven't spoken to them, but I do have a feeling. Because we've got a plane to catch.
Right.
But I do think that they came in and, it's these events that we get so used to are a wonder to people coming in from outside. And so you had like 900 people all playing the same game all at the same time, and they do that for 2 whole days.
Yep. And
somebody wins a trophy and thousands of dollars, and it helps them send them around the world to new events. And it's a startling thing to suddenly.
Yeah, certainly. While we love the fact that you're tuning in on GGsLive.com to watch coverage of the Grand Prix. If you've never been to one, and one comes into your region, you should probably get up and go. There's nothing quite like the smoke and smell of grease paint that is a Magic Grand Prix.
Yeah, any number of people this weekend have come up and said, listen, this is my first Grand Prix, I watch coverage all the time around the internet, and just so exciting to see lots of these players and that we see on the TV.
Right.
And here we are.
The telly, you might say.
The telly, I might say, and manfully avoided. And you just see Patrick Chapin walking around the tournament venue, just on the phone, and you think, well, this is the larger-than-life character that I read avidly every single week to find out what's going on in the world of Magic, and I support when he's in contention at the big events, and you're going to meet these people. And so it isn't about being great at Magic, being at a Grand Prix. Grand Prix are not for the best of the best. They turn up as the cream on the cake, but it's the absolute meat and potatoes, to mix my culinary metaphors, the meat and potatoes players who are the cake.
Okay, wait a minute.
Which makes it a meat and potato
Which
cake.
means we're having the cake first, and then we're having the meat and potatoes afterward.
Something like that.
Well,
I didn't think you'd spot that.
When you're an adult, you can eat your food in any order you want.
Damn straight.
If you want to have dessert first,
That's the gig.
that's all there is to it.
All right, 1 or 2 games remain. Vidigiris, for many reasons, will hope just one. Majors will want to take it to a decider.
Okay, both of them looking at their opening hands. Looks like a keep over on Major's side. Go is going to go into the tank and eventually ship that back. Yeah, there was a 0 lander, so that wasn't going anywhere. Going to 6. One of the things that makes decks like his a little more mulligan resilient, of course, is the presence of the ponders and the brainstorms, the ability to sift through the deck a little bit. Obviously, you don't ever want to be down a card.
Steve Sadin will bring you the play-by-play in text later on this evening.
Do you have sometimes Magic players are a little ritualistic in their behaviors, a little, what's the word I'm looking for?
Superstitious?
Superstitious, thank you. Do you have any superstitions about, like, when you mulligan once, how you have to pile or shuffle in order to ward off the evil spirits of mulligans?
No, not that at all. There is a practical one. I have outside competition, which is that I don't like shuffling,
right?
Particularly. I'm not terribly good at it, and I've only recently learned to sort of riffle.
Right.
And sometimes after a long playtest game where I've got 18 land together,
right,
even though I have riffled a bunch of times, when I then draw 7 land and I mulligan and I just do a few cursory shovels and then I draw 6 land, I'm like, okay, all right, I'll pretend it's an actual tournament now, and then I'll go around in my 7, 8 piles, whatever it is, and then give them many riffles and say, all right, now let's see what happens.
Right.
But no, I certainly don't feel, oh, it's time for the mulligan shuffle.
Right.
There isn't one of those. No.
So, Tropical Island, Tarmogoyf, Wasteland, Brainstorm.
And one more land. That seems perfectly presentable for 6.
Fetch.
So, what kind of fetch is it?
Looks like a Flooded Strand.
Tropical Island from Gardenis Vidigiris, which is going to get wasted.
Which might be a little better than Michael Majors currently knows.
Respond Brainstorm. And there's no land in those 3.
Wasn't that a Wasteland on top?
Oh, was it? Okay. I miss... yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, okay.
Very good. Yep, Snapcaster Ponder, and what turns out to be a 3rd Wasteland.
That is not looking good for Gardenis Vidigiris. He's got no digs. He's got no shuffles.
And because the Flooded Strand is a Flooded Strand as opposed to a duel already, there's no way that Go can simply buy himself some time by going, waste it, waste it, waste it. There is going to be a window,
Right.
right here, right now, where the Flooded Strand can become something useful and then turn into something useful. Although, again, Michael Majors is not... Thanks very much. Oh, that's just charming. It'll be an island. Yeah. Oh, super. On the plus side for Go, this isn't a Delver moment.
Right.
You're not going to see a Delver sequence that then rides to victory. That's what we see there. The Ponder is about the worst that can happen.
See
Off one land.
swords another land. But I imagine
Oh, it's a wasteland. Now, does that telegraph to Michael that Go has nothing useful colour-wise? Or is that just that he isn't yet wanting to use it and will sit there with a wasteland and then go, second land, ready.
I think you have to interpret it as the former, and not necessarily the latter. I mean, if Michael Majors knew Go's hand, and now I think that's a very clear sign right there. I think it's time for him to try to stick this Stoneforge Mystic that's in his hand.
Every chance he's going to. Oh, it's a plate.
Drops into the fetch. This fetch is a polluted delta.
What a delta.
Of course, gets the Batter Skull as per the plan.
And look like a Tarmogoyf drawn. Oh, look. Triple wasteland against a game of Magic.
Yes.
It's approximately what's occurring here.
I think.
Who do you fancy for game 3, Sheldon?
Yeah. I was just about to say I don't think I'm putting it too far out there when I might suggest that we're going to go to a game 3. Nimble Mongoose is the draw. Here comes the Batter Skull. And the 4-turn clock is on. I mean, obviously Majors is actually going to attack for 6 instead of 5 because it really has no other use for the Stoneforge Mystic. But as things currently stand, it's still going to take 4 attacks.
Yeah, 5 total. Right? Batter Skull and Stoneforge.
There's another Ponder. And a Geist of St. Traft is in that pile, which is certainly going to be the card off the top.
Yep, you see it on the right there. Just, yeah, complete control for Majors. He's got multiple swords to plowshares as well. Sitting there waiting for should anything ever happen. Yeah. Go will gather his mental resources for one final time and prepare for a decider that is still a few turns away. but
But I
hard
don't
to
really think
imagine
there's
many
coming back.
twists away.
Yeah.
Yeah. In I come.
And there's the Geist.
5 damage gets through.
So now the clock has sped up considerably.
2 more hits. We're done. Pass the turn. That was I'm going to discard. Smash.
Yeah, he's got it.
And we're done. It's 1-1. You see Jackie Lee in the background there watching the final.
So, down to 1 game of Magic left in Grand Prix Atlanta 2012. You've seen all of it here on GG's Live. The exciting action, great matches. Another example of why fans of Magic should appreciate legacy action. It's deep, it's involved, it's nuanced, it requires great skill to play.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. Which makes a nice change for us both, doesn't it? Where we just instantly agree with each other. But yeah, completely spot on. I do think that with Gardanis on the play, the ability to go Delver turn 1 or Nimble Mongoose turn 1, it defines the early game, and by the time Mages is into the mid game, he spent quite a lot of game time and resource time stopping it being the early game that Go got to do pretty much unmolested.
Right.
Now, obviously, Micro Mages can have a force of will.
Right.
To straight away, just, can I have a Delver? No, you can't. Fair enough. But should a Delver or Nimble Mongoose come down, we've certainly seen that Go can ride those, if not to victory, to a point in the game where all the stuff he's been stockpiling while he's been chipping away becomes an insurmountable win.
Right.
And so I think the turn 1 play is huge here. In the way that we saw in that second game, which eventually became not a game at all, but when Mages had his land and Go was in trouble, there was no Delver or Mongoose to come down. It was, oh, so you're in real trouble, I'll ponder.
Yeah.
Whereas Go gets the chance to, how about this? Turn 2, run out more potentially. He has days available on turn 2. I think this is a very big start to the deciding game.
Well, being on the play here for Go means not only does he have the potential turn 1 play of the Mongoose or the Delver, he also has days backup. I mean, I'm not really sure there's too much turn 1 that he'd want to set himself back for in Major's deck. That days is probably going to stay for something a little more considerable.
So here's an opening hand for Gardanis, which is mostly off camera.
But I saw Tropical Island and Ponder, so I think the rest of it is
and it
keep.
looks like he's keeping because Majors has now picked up his. Has quite a lot of land, at least 4, but we are away. Turn 1, Nimble Mongoose, go.
And
Early game is defined.
It's another land for Majors.
And there will be a Ponder back the other way. So.
See a Geist, see a land.
So, what does he do with that Ponder? He will send them away. Don't fancy that lot. I'll have something else. Or maybe something the same.
So I'm sure we'll see the turn 2 Ponder from Go, and he's going to start filling up his graveyard, getting that Nimble Mongoose into the red zone,
Yeah.
and you know, from here, trying to control the pace of the game.
We saw that Sword of Feast and Famine was a big card, obviously, for Michael. ultimately insufficient when Fire and Ice tapped it down. Fire and Ice, sorry. Ponder from Go.
There's another Ponder. Off the top. Didn't quite see the other two. Go has enough land here and a fetch land.
And he's got a Wasteland in hand.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Scalding Tarn. There, Ponder with something in between as he continues to navigate his potential next 3 draws.
I gotta think Wastelanding the Underground Sea here is the play. Because, I mean, Michael Majors doesn't have a whole pile of 1-drops. He's got to get into his mana. He's got to get the second mana for the Stone's Forge. He's got to get for the activation cost.
And Gardenis also knows that the Ponder that Michael began with isn't what wasn't satisfactory. It was a random card that went instead.
Yep.
So
there it is.
The Wasteland.
And Nimble Mongoose gets in it again. 2 cards in the graveyard for Vitigoris.
Nimble Mongoose deals the first damage of the final game.
Snapcaster is what Michael Majors peels off the top.
So a couple of Flooded Strands.
See the Swords to Plowshares in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Nothing to interact with just yet.
Ponder we knew was on top. There's Scalding Tarn.
And Go will send in the Nimble Mongoose for the second point. Followed up with Delver of Secrets. It says short and passes.
We see the days there on the top of his hand.
Yep, for Gardenis.
So Stoneforge Mystic is problematic here. Obviously, Michael Majors doesn't have one. Second Flooded Strand comes down.
And just past the turn.
Yeah, those.
So Gardenis will crack away the Scalding Tarn.
I think we're going to see.
And respond.
Trigger on the stack for Delver of Secrets. And cracking the
Eventually.
land.
Yeah, so we're still at
EOT.
End of turn. There's Plains for Michael Majors.
And he's going to shoot. He's going to point one of those Swords to Plowshares in his hand at the Delver of Secrets before it gets a chance to be a little bigger.
Yeah.
Go knows what's coming.
Yep. Away it goes.
Only 1 life gain. Graveyard not larger. Or at least Go's graveyard's not larger.
Volcanic.
Drops Vitigoris to 19.
That's like the major side events of the day are winding down. So we reach 7:30 here on Sunday evening at an excellent GP Atlantic.
Yeah, big kudos to tournament organizer Jeff Williams and his crew. And certainly big kudos to the production staff here at GG's Live for turning in a great event.
Misty Rainforest appears.
And another Ponder.
Vitigiris once again working out where the left hand puts the stuff that the right hand cares about.
Again, Go is just is just going to
Fort Scout. and
slowly
return.
determine the pace of this game. Is he at 6? 1, 2, 3,
No, he's
4,
there.
5, 6, 7. No,
He's
he's
there.
at 7.
So
Maybe we could get
now-
the staff to the on-site staff to move that graveyard onto the on camera. See exactly what's there. There we go. Thanks, boys.
Meanwhile, Majors took a hit from 17
Down to 14, now to
There it is.
13. Now to 13 with the fetch land. Go still at 20 after cracking 1 fetch and gaining 1 from the Swords to Plowshares. Majors using the basic lands to stay out of wasteland range. There's his third land.
Lingering Souls.
And somewhere Tom Martell is glowing inside.
Danis with 4 cards in hand looks at that Lingering Souls.
And we don't see any evidence of black mana, so the daze does seem pretty good there.
Away it goes.
So another wasteland is probably going to hit that tundra. Right, there we go.
Indeed.
Here comes Nimble Mongoose. Majors down to 10, and I think we're feeling the creep of inevitability here.
Well, we'll see. Majors still with lots of cards in hand.
The other thing is that if he flashes back the Lingering Souls, that means Spell Pierce is viable from go.
Does it cost?
Snapcaster in Major's hand. What's the path for Michael Majors to dig himself out of this hole? Is the question.
Make a Stoneforge Mystic. Go and get a Batterskull. Make a Batterskull. Turn a Batterskull sideways. Or just go down and die in a heap of Batterskull.
Does he have that much time?
Batterskull doesn't turn sideways.
Well, metaphorically it turns sideways. Even vigilant creatures turn sideways when they attack. Inside.
There's the Lingering Souls flashback. Ironically, turning off his own threshold. And it's good.
Well, at this stage, Go doesn't particularly care, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just, okay, so you had 2, now you've got 1.
Yeah, I mean, all Majors is looking for here is some time to assemble some resources and, like you said, be able to cast a Stoneforge Mystic. There's Tarmogoyf. Is he 3 or 4? Are there any dudes in the graveyards?
Instant sorcery land.
Instant sorcery land. So I think he's a 3/4 right now. Well, if Michael Majors is going to get himself out of this hole, Brainstorm's a pretty good start.
Yeah. He is, as you say, going to need to do it rather soon.
Well, he's at 10 life, and he's obviously going to be chump blocking that one of the 2 of those. He's either going to take 3 or 4.
Yeah. He's looking at 7-1 nothing over the next 3 turns, unless he does something pretty useful. Now, of course, we've seen that he's got a Snapcaster Mage in hand. He's got a Swords to Plowshares
Right.
in his graveyard.
Yeah, he can Snapcaster and flashback the swords. Again, all he's doing here though is giving himself some time. course, oh, wait a minute. Snapcaster Swords on the Tarmogoyf double block the Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah. And then potentially the board's reset. He currently has 6 cards in hand. Go has 3.
Yeah, we can't forget about the Perish out of Michael Major's deck too.
Has 2 of those coming out of the sideboard. Passes the turn. Vidigiris. Untaps, and now his Snapcaster Mage. Which Go can counter with Spell Snare. Should he wish, which he does. And we advance to the draw step. It's okay. Blast from the past. Vidigiris edging towards a 3rd Grand Prix title, perhaps. Tampa 09, Denver 2011. The Tarmogoyf is blocked. Once again, the board is clear. The way is clear. Majors falling down to 6. So close to the end of the
We've got
line.
the Spell Snare for the Swords to Plowshares.
There are no miracles to entreat here.
Yeah, quite honestly, I think based on Go's hand, I think the only out here for Majors is Perish.
In that case, I recommend he draws it approximately now. It's a pretty big shuffle here, Dennis. Brainstorm? May I? Yeah, sure. That's a Humility. That looked like a Batterskull, and that's a Lingering Souls.
Well, Lingering Souls will buy him time.
Always assuming he can make it resolve.
Yes.
Sure, that's a given.
Spell Pierce, Pyroblast, and what was the 3rd card in Go's hand?
It's been a good run. Where's that? It's been a good run. Good run. Oh.
Spell Snare.
It's quite a lot of no.
Yeah.
Attacks for 4 and gains 4 life.
Path to Exile. Tarmogoyf.
Sure. Yeah, not worth fighting a war over.
24?
In a world where Nimble Mongoose has been attacking for 3 for many, many years, despite all the upgrades and new sets, could easily be a Nimble Mongoose attacking for 3 that's going to win this Grand Prix. Snapcaster, no. Back we go. Dennis draws. We haven't seen that card. Attack. Majors from 6 to 3.
And now is in lightning bolt range. Another nimble mongoose.
Okay.
No, really. How much value is there in playing that?
Well, you don't play because Perish
because of
kills one
Perish.
and then you reload with the next.
Right.
Mages is at 3. Humility.
Well, there's a thing.
And let's say
There's the
no,
handshake.
and Galdanis Vidugiris is your champion of Grand Prix Atlanta 2012. He has won a 3rd Grand Prix title, and the last Legacy champion, Mr. Tom Martell, is there to congratulate him. Oh, Galdanis Vidugiris, congratulations to him. Very well done, of course, to Michael Majors. Made it all the way to the final, gave as good as he got.
Qualified for the Pro Tour.
But, yeah. Where he may face Galdanis Vidugiris again, but there is your champion, Galdanis Vidugiris, with Rug Delver,
Now,
who took on